Hello, everybody, and welcome. We're very glad to have everybody joining us here for another webinar in CXplained. Let's see who is flowing into the chat here this morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you're calling in from. Would love to see, some companies that we have everybody in here, and then also some roles as well. And yeah, where you guys are listening in from. Argentina. Oh, that's fun. Maybe some Lionel Messi fans out there. Canada, New York City, Boston, Nigeria. Very cool. Well, I know there will be lots more people here flowing in the next couple of minutes. I will kick us off and introduce myself. My name is Garrett, and I am the partnerships manager here over at Talent Pop, and will be moderating this fantastic webinar that we have here today, which will be talking about first click to the repeat customer and just how CX teams build loyalty throughout Q1. We've obviously hosted a similar panel to this back in December, just talking about retention and some of the different ways that we can dive even deeper on retention with some of our amazing partners and people that we have on our panel here today. So I'm very excited to jump in. The conversation will be shifting back and forth of expectations for 2026, obviously with AI enhancing retention, CX teams being able to enhance retention, and then also some seamless post-purchase experiences as well, and how those all kind of develop a good atmosphere here in the CX world. By the end of this, I hope that you guys have a much more clear picture here on some good CX strategies. If you guys are ready to hear some good insights from some of our panelists here today, I'd love to see some lightning in the chat. I love that we do this. So drop some of those lightnings in there so we can kind of kick things off here. As we do that, I'm going to throw up one of our audits. You guys can have a chance to win a gift card. And as I throw this up, we will kick off introducing some of our panelists here as well. So up first, Natalie, why don't we have you introduce yourself?
Thank you so much. Hey, everybody. My name is Natalie. I am a partner manager at Gorgias. Been here almost 4.5 years, so feel pretty well versed. I love a hello from some names I actually recognize, which is pretty neat. So I'm liking the chat so far, and I'm excited to join today. See what we can learn together.
Awesome. Very excited to have Natalie back. Andrew, why don't we have you introduce yourself?
Hey guys, how's it going? My name is Andrew Stevens. I'm the Director of Team Operations here at Talent Pop. Pleasure to have the opportunity to be able to speak on this panel today. Really looking forward to it. We have an awesome panel of speakers and just looking forward to the conversation.
Awesome. Very excited to have you. Kaylee, why don't we have you introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. My name is Kaylee Podruski. I am the Partner Training and Enablement Manager here at Okendo. I've been here about, 3 years now. I guess time flies when you're having fun. So, been a long time listener, first time caller on the panel here. I'm excited to be here.
We love that. We love to hear that. Very happy to have you as well. And last but not least, Thamana, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Hey everyone, I am Thamana Bala and I'm one of the tech partner managers at Triple Oil. Following Kaylee's lead, I've been here for a year and almost a half, which is also kind of crazy. Prior to that, I was at Rebuy. So yeah, it's really cool to be on this discussion with all of you.
I love it. I love it. Well, great to hear from all of you. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day to come and chat with us. I know that there is a lot of fun topics to jump into. Obviously, Natalie will kind of be speaking from the gorgeous side about some help desk optimization, ways that we can drive loyalty using Gorgeous. Tamana providing some kind of insights on data with Triple Whale to help and predict with churn personal retention. And then Kaylee also jumping in with a little bit of customer loyalty from Akendo's reward programs. And then last but not least, of course, Andrew chatting a little bit more about Talent Pop and how we can help those CX teams stay ahead and advanced. We're very excited to jump into the panel a little bit more. Feel free to drop any questions that you guys have in the chat. Obviously, our panelists will be answering these questions live, but they also are able to respond to some of those in the chat as well. So, very excited to jump in. Guys, are we ready to kind of kick things off here? Awesome. Super excited. We will open up our first question here to all of our panelists. Question one. Q1 is the first time brands really see which holiday customers are sticking around. From your perspective, what's the first signal or interaction that tells you a customer is likely to become a repeat buyer? And how can CX influence that outcome early?
I can take this one first.
Go ahead.
All right. Well, I think the earliest signal I trust is what happens immediately after the delivery of a previous purchase. So with first-party data, repeat buyers really tend to re-engage on their own within the first like 1 or 2 weeks. So they'll usually revisit the site, they'll browse new products, they'll proactively reach out, and that behavior signals confidence and not hesitation. So I think CX really has the most leverage in that exact window. When data surfaces friction, so for example, like delayed shipping, Wismo tickets, or even repeat questions, sorry, proactive CX can remove any uncertainty before it turns into doubt. So fixing any of that friction just keeps customers from leaving. They become more loyal. And if you can even take it one step further, making that customer feel genuinely valued, that's really the difference between a second purchase and just like a long-term customer in general. So I honestly think in Q1, retention isn't just about waiting for conversion. It's really about earning that loyalty really early on.
Yeah. Yeah, I think just to piggyback off that, Tamana, right?
Yeah.
All right, sorry, I missed the introductions when we were first getting the panel started earlier. But just to piggyback off that, I even think like, just as you mentioned, it's those interactions. How was their experience as soon as the delivery was made? And I think even from a customer support aspect, we really look on our side here at Talent Pop at um, how are the interactions before that delivery is made, too. Obviously, we're more focused on like a customer support side of things, so that's the main difference there. But we find that when customers are having really great experiences with the brand, with the team, if they are reaching out to customer support, they're having that great experience after, the product is delivered. Those are those pivotal moments that really decide for these customers from Q4 if they are going to continue to stick around. And that is something that we lean really heavily into.
From a help desk perspective, I mean, both of y'all's tie in perfectly, so thank you for like that great setup. There's two big signals that obviously we see positive correlation with. So post-purchase engagement, Tamana, to your point, within 2 weeks. So our range that we typically see the most impact is 7 to 14 days. This could be constant clicking of tracking emails. If you're me, that's good engagement, but that is also good engagement historically for who is going to come back, who's really invested in seeing when is this going to arrive. Initiating conversation brings me to kind of our second signal. So requests for product help versus complaints. So no news is not always necessarily good news when it comes to CX. We want these customers to be engaging. So if they're coming to the team and they're writing about, hey, how do I use this? How is this best styled? Or hey, this concealer is pilling, how can I fix it? That is already a good indicator that they want to stick around and they want to kind of troubleshoot those things with you, as opposed to initiating a return from the get-go or kind of surrendering and going to the hundreds, if not thousands, of competitors in the space that is ecom now. So these positive early interactions are really setting a tone that you can, from the get-go, gain this loyalty before they even come back for a second time. So all of that really matters, and it's all at the beginning. But sounds more high pressure than it is, but there's obviously things that the team can do to kind of meet them where they are and make sure they come back.
Yeah, and I would say like a lot of everyone else has mentioned, it's positive engagement, it's positive feedback, and things like that that are really great signals that someone's going to become a repeat customer. So for us, what we see is someone who's submitted a positive review, or they have joined your loyalty program, or submitted a post-purchase survey. Or maybe they're taking an on-site quiz and they're trying to learn more about your products. These are all interactions that indicate that that customer is invested in their experience and they're open to future communications.
Mhm.
And the way that you can influence that and making those experiences positive and kind of starting to form that emotional connection that builds loyalty is by really reiterating the value of that loyalty program. It's really great if someone's just joined your loyalty program to kind of, it's an opportunity for a little bit of surprise and delight, give them like a welcome reward that they can use right away. So they're not having to wait till they've accrued all of these points to see the value of joining. You can also use the customer data that you've gotten from their reviews or quizzes or surveys to personalize your communications going forward. And that's just going to continue to encourage that ongoing communication and really tailor their experience and keep them coming back.
Absolutely. A lot of great points there. I think that we definitely see the tailoring to each individual customer and the timeliness being something that's very important when it talks about loyalty and getting these new customers that are coming in from obviously a busy time of year. So I would definitely agree. A lot of great points from our panelists there. Tamana, I want to kind of circle back to you here. Obviously, we know Triple Whale gives like a great centralized view of first party data for marketing, sales, post-purchase touch points, all of those things. But I guess question for you, I guess what specific data signals or behaviors are kind of most useful for understanding customer behavior? What could people kind of keep an eye out for from some of your data?
Yeah, good question. And this sort of piggybacks off of the last question. So some of it might be a bit of the same kind of answer. But I think post-holiday churn risk really shows up first when you're taking a look at your first-party data. So you can look at the behavior. You can look at, some of the signals that you would see would be like the post-purchase friction. So if you're noticing customers have had, again, delayed deliveries, repeat Wismo tickets, or even just early returns, that's because that really points to the expectation gap, right? And I'm sure a lot of people here, please answer in the chat if you've experienced this, but maybe you expect something to arrive at a certain point and it ends up arriving like 2 weeks later, or the quality is not what you expected, or just you're not even getting like emails that say that your order is on its way. Those things really create friction. Now, at the same time, repeat buyers almost always re-engage within the first 7 to 14 days. And I think that seems to be a trend between all of us here. So when that doesn't happen, it's really an early warning sign. Now, because platform reporting has gotten less reliable, brands can't just wait for dashboards to flag a problem after the fact. A real-time view of how customers are actually behaving will let teams actually spot churn risk. And that'll help them, spot that churn risk really early, and then they can step it up before it turns into lost revenue. And I also remember if I remember this correctly, if you have one upset customer, they will go and tell 10 customers. If you have one happy customer, they tend to go and tell four customers. So sometimes that loss is far worse than that gain.
Absolutely. Yeah, I definitely think that's something that's good to think about, especially looking at the data when you mentioned the dashboards. I always think that's funny that everybody waits for something to appear on a dashboard, but the faster that you are able to get to that, I know we kind of live and breathe through dashboards nowadays, but definitely some great insight, and we appreciate that, Tamana. Natalie, kind of just to circle back to you, I know Q1 brands are kind of dealing with a big wave of holiday customers. This is kind of the follow-up season from the crazy season, is what I like to say. I guess kind of why do brands lean into the proactive support and I guess the self-service win on repeat purchases? And I guess what are some specific flows that Gorgeous has available to kind of combat that and help?
Yeah, this is definitely the more calm of the quarter that we just did. So it is like an interesting time to see what went wrong, what can you improve from Q4. So Obviously, for anybody who doesn't have too much info about Gorgias, we have a great AI tool and capability in general. And a lot of that we lean on for this kind of proactive, tailored self-service functionality. The reason I bring that up is because to me, that's kind of what makes all of the difference. So a lot of us have all kind of hit the nail on the head with the fact that you want to reduce friction in whatever capacity. I do not think it is any big surprise that if I were to shop for a pair of jeans right now, I'd easily have hundreds of options. And essentially the one that's going to win me over at the end of the day is going to be the one for me to make kind of the easiest buy with. So in such a competitive space, brands or CX rather, your tools only have one chance to make the first impression. It's cheesy, but I always kind of see them as directors of first impressions. Are you on the site? How easy it is to find the sizing chart? How easy is it to track my order, to see if something is wrong? Do I need to wait for an agent to be online, etc.? If your actual brand makes the shopping experience as frictionless as possible and grants me the autonomy to get these answers, it's going to help immensely way past Q4. And I'm happy to see Andrew's like, yes, that's a good sign. So, especially in quarters that are crazy, like with the holidays, again, not new information. The holidays are stressful. I'm not looking for anything extra to kind of be an obstacle. So, we want to make it as smooth as possible. So, in terms of specifics, how we're doing this and doing it well, any reply that comes from the actual brand, personalized details in the actual responses, whether from an AI agent or a human agent, make sure the order info is there. Make sure that the replies are custom. They're not feeling like the same reply that went to Kaylee could have gone to Andrew. They should all be very curated, specific experiences, and that is building trust. And at the core of what makes a repeat customer is that they know you're reliable, safe space that they're going to get what they need from it. So our first replies are definitely helping there just because we have the toolkit of all of your Shopify data, the great apps we connect with, CSA Triple Whale, Kendo included. So we have everything in one place, making that personalization really easy for your team. And who's going to feel that are your customers. And then secondly, we have a self-service kind of portal. I like the word portal, maybe not, maybe I'm a little antiquated there, but it really just has everything that they need to get done what they're looking for. So essentially, they don't have to wait for an agent to come online. They can solve quickly, feel independent, but not feel like, oh, I can't reach anybody. Not that weird frustration of like, agent, representative, like screaming on the phone into the void kind of thing. You want them to be able to do that from the get-go. And just that level of autonomy that you're giving them is going to have them coming back. So, very long speech, but that's all to say that those are really the key pieces. And that's going to make more of a difference than I think a lot of brands kind of give credit for, but they're very easy to implement and really have long-term effects.
Absolutely. Yeah, I personally can definitely agree with the personalization aspect. I always find that when a brand does anything personalized to me, it definitely makes me want to be that repeat customer. I'm not the most avid online shopper, but the brands that do make me feel special, those are the ones that I do usually return to my purchases for. So I'm curious if anybody else in the chat is that way, but even like I had one brand send me a postcard with my name on it. I thought it was the coolest thing ever. Is it something little? Yes, but those extra steps, like Natalie was talking about, is definitely something that's going to make that customer feel a lot more special and kind of linger throughout the rest of the year and come back for more. So, love to hear that. In terms of, I guess, bringing everybody back into the discussion here. Obviously, retention gets framed as kind of a marketing problem. I know that a lot of people hear that quite a bit. How can we keep people around more? What marketing efforts do we need to increase? So on and so forth. But I guess where do we see brands kind of misplacing the responsibility for retention? And I guess what role should CX or customer service actually own when it comes to repeat purchases?
I can take that question. So I think brands often misplace retention with marketing, assuming that it's something that can be fixed later, with emails or loyalty campaigns. But once you've already broken that customer's trust, getting it back is going to be a lot harder. So what we constantly see in first-party data is that customers churn because the trust breaks really early. Again, around delivery, returns, post-purchase support, etc., right? And those moments are owned by CX and not necessarily marketing. So when CX gets those right, then retention honestly just happens naturally.
Yeah, I
Oh,
totally
hi, Jennifer.
oh, sorry. Did you have more to add, Tamana?
No, I was just saying hi to Jennifer in the chat because now
Oh,
she's
okay.
also become a friend of mine. So it's nice to see familiar faces.
I love that. It's great to see familiar faces for sure. Yeah, I think when it comes to this overall topic, Tamana, you created a great bridge for me again, so thank you very much. From a
Pleasure.
CX perspective, I think it's not only viewing customer service or customer experience from a perspective of taking on the challenge when it comes in. It's about being proactive, right? Reaching out to your customers ahead of time, making sure that they are having good experiences with their products. Some of the brands we even work with, we train our customer service agents or our support agents to actually do like outbound dialing for them, right? Just calling customers that may have abandoned cart, things of that nature, really leveraging your team to see how can we continue reaching out to our customers? What are things that, our CX team, our CS team can support with in trying to build this connection and not putting that responsibility solely on one division of the organization. And we find it quite successful. And, from my experience, clients tend to like it. So that's something we do over on our side.
There was a really good question in the chat. I was originally going to skip this because like they're saying all the things I'm thinking, but I feel like I can maybe add something here. So I actually thought this was a great question. I asked somebody on our marketing team, I was like, how do you take this? I was like looking for a fight, seeing what they seeing what they were going to say. And I thought that they said it really well. Marketing drives re-engagement, but CX determines whether customers want to come back. And I thought that was actually really well said. One cannot kind of work without the other. And to this awesome question, that what do you think when people say that it's the job of product to retain? How can CX play a role? I think CX plays a huge role. Three things kind of come to mind. So post-purchase relationships, all CX, they're experts in that space. That's basically how they're going to know if a brand is worth it, if they're coming back. Like they own that and they have every right to own that. They're the experts. Consistency across channels. So think whether they wrote to you via Instagram, DM, or email. Is everybody on the same page? Are you not having to have them rehash information? CX can absolutely own that. And specifically from the product perspective, who has more valuable insight on product feedback than the CX team, than the first line of defense? I think a lot of times things kind of get siloed by team and they're not always relying on each other, but CX teams see firsthand what friction can be there if it's something as small as like a sizing limitation, if it's something a little bit larger, but they should really be in constant communication with other teams, product, marketing, sales, etc., development to really influence like the broader strategy for the company because they have a lot of information and that they can own really naturally.
I love it.
Yeah.
Natalie, thank you for seeing that question. Kaylee, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, I loved that question in the chat, Natalie, as well. I think retention is really the sum of every interaction, and our CX teams are really at the front and center of all of those interactions, meaning they're sitting on kind of a gold mine of customer data that's and feedback that comes from those interactions, whether it be from reviews or surveys or quizzes or whether they've had a chat or something like that, and surfacing those insights to marketing and product and other appropriate teams are really going to help improve the overall experience, the messaging, product, if you're getting a lot of the same, complaints or there's a lot of questions about it. And that can really help guide kind of smarter CX decisions. And so when you use that data effectively, they can influence retention in a meaningful way and ensure that customers are they're going to keep coming back.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. I love all of the questions that we are getting into the chat. We will be filtering these in between some of the other panel questions. So we're actually going to go right back to Kaylee here. Kaylee, I guess many brands launch loyalty programs. It's something that's kind of blown up over the last few years as being a big key marketing push. But I guess from what you see at Akendo loyalty wise, what types of rewards, perks, or kind of tiered experiences genuinely motivate customers to come back to you guys in Q1?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of brands that are launching loyalty programs, and every loyalty program is going to reward members with points for their purchases. What successful loyalty programs are doing differently is they're incentivizing meaningful engagement. That's going to create this sense of community. It allows those members to have an emotional connection to the brand. So this is leaving a review, referring friends, following on social. And those brands are also constantly reiterating the value of belonging to that community, whether it's birthday rewards or early access to sales and product drops, exclusive VIP experiences, or other kind of like surprise and delight activations. When we think about those things that are going to keep them coming back, especially for first-time shoppers, maybe during the holidays, during Q1, I mentioned this earlier, but if they've just joined your program, offering whether points just for joining it's or a welcome reward kind of gives you this feeling of a head start that's going to encourage you to keep doing point earning activities. So if I already am halfway to my next tier, I'm going to want to keep earning, whether that be by leaving reviews or making more purchases. Other things that work really well are gamification. So rewarding streaks by giving bonus points if they've made more than one purchase in a month, offering additional points on subscriptions. If you offer a subscription program and you see someone's left a 5-star review or they've joined a loyalty program, these are people that are probably going to want to, it's going to benefit them to get points on their subscriptions. And then for tiered programs, it's a really great option. It's gating premium perks like early access to sales and product drops. It gives them a reason to keep coming back and keep earning points so that they can maintain access to those premium perks.
Absolutely. Yes. I don't know about you guys, but the drops for me, the early access is a real thing. Exclusivity makes people feel special. It does at the end of the day. Excuse me. So yeah, that definitely something that I think more brands can lean into and obviously see a lot more success with. So Kaylee, appreciate that. We have a lot of great questions coming into the chat, which I love to see. That makes my job a lot more fun here. So I do see a great question. What are our top three tactics that a small brand can adopt to grow the likelihood to get their second order purchase? What are some of the perspectives of our panelists?
I have an idea. I when I worked at or I've seen it with another company, they basically would have a tiered progress bar. So when someone is checking out, you spend a certain amount of money, you maybe get a free item. Then if you spend a little bit more, you get free shipping. And if you spend a little bit more on top of that, maybe you get a gift card that you can actually use at the store. So this prompts the customer that's already got a free item, maybe a free shipping, and now they have a reason to come back. And if you're triggering them with the right emails or right SMS at the same, like at the right time, then they can actually use that gift card. And chances are they're going to have to use a little bit more. So you're increasing your average order value. And as long as that cycle, that buying cycle is smooth and frictionless, they will very likely come back. Sometimes what also works is like they get to that threshold where they get a gift card, but they can also give a gift card to a friend. So then that also creates communication and just word of mouth marketing around your brand. Another effective tool that I've seen work.
Yeah, I think just quickly to add to this too, and Tamana, thank you so much for that because I agree with a lot of those points. This was a question, Garrett, that had came across like earlier in the conversation. For a bootstrap founder, I think from something that's even from a basis of something that can even be less costly or less expensive for your brand potentially too. Or just like little things in communication and experience, right? Like just I think people tend to forget or not acknowledge like how small being thought or like how important being thoughtful or how being thoughtful can go such a long way. Like if you're ever going out on a date with a girl, it's like one of those things where it's like it's being thoughtful and genuinely meaning it, of course, that goes the longest way. Um, and I guess really where I'm trying to bring on this all together is, just in little experiences, right? Like if you have a customer, they're purchasing a product for a first time, being proactive in communications that generally customers are going to ask as a first time customer, right? And that could either be as soon as they purchase the product, it could be as soon as the product is delivered. That's kind of ties into my number two, where it's like even just thoughtful communications post delivery, right? Like that can give them tips and things that are going to put them in the position to be most successful in using this product, right? And I think the third one is probably the most basic. It's just have a good product. Without a good product, I don't care what you try to do, you're not going to get a second time customer. But those are my three for that question.
I love it. I love it. Obviously, a lot of great options for everybody here. We're seeing so many different options. It seems like gift cards, and I'm reading some of the things in the chat here, is what really gets people fired up. I know for me myself, sometimes just getting like those random DoorDash or Uber Eats gift cards, like it's just so, I don't know why, but it provides so much value. For me, it's something that I think is very nice that brands do or stuff like that. So I definitely lean into those quite a bit. I don't know about anyone else, but excited to kind of pivot here a little bit more. Taman, I want to come back to you here. I guess, what are some other, I guess, top kind of customer behavior signals or data points that retention teams should be kind of monitoring? And I guess, how do we help unify first-party data to help these teams act faster? Because I know that timeliness is so important. So I guess, what are some key ways?
Yeah, great question. So the biggest shift teams need to make is moving from reporting on what already happened to monitor what's happening like right now, right this second, right this hour, like right this minute. Because the most important signals are post-purchase friction by cohort, especially for holiday buyers, right? So return buyers that signals return buyers that signals regret and early second purchase momentum, like site visits and browsing depth in those first 2 weeks, is so valuable. But also, like unified first party data lets you see all of this in one place, and then it actually helps you act immediately. So the teams that win are using real-time data to intervene early and not to explain churn after the fact. We've had customers use Triple Whale, especially around Black Friday and Cyber Monday when literally every second counts. And they noticed that there was an issue with one of their best-selling products. They were able to act on that right away. And that would have been the difference between, succeeding at Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and honestly just like falling behind and failing. And that one product, your top few SKUs, that can really make the difference for you. And scraping any revenue that companies can get nowadays is so incredibly valuable when competition is at an all-time high.
Absolutely. Yes. I know the battling between competitors these days could never be more apparent. Just even with commercials, I feel like I know we have the Super Bowl coming up. Getting to see all of the different types of brands battling it out for those very, very expensive 30-second slots is always very interesting. So, yes, definitely a good time to try to grab as much market share as possible. Kind of honestly, I guess piggybacking a little bit on that, Andrew, I guess a lot of brands, they say they want retention driven by customer service, right? Like that's the big thing. How does our customer service drive us forward in the retention department? In practice, I guess, what behavioral challenges do you see inside CX teams when retention becomes a real goal in Q1 and not just, some other KPI on a slide?
Yeah, just to confirm, challenges or changes?
No, changes. So I would say
Okay,
like what
okay,
big
cool.
changes do you see inside CX
Sorry, I might have heard it wrong. I just wanted to make sure.
teams?
Um, from a change perspective, I would say like one of the biggest things we see across the brands that we work with and with the CX agents that we obviously, you know, or put out there for support. The biggest thing that we see is more thoughtfulness in communications, and that's not to say that before they weren't being thoughtful, right? But if anyone and everyone had a crazy Black Friday, like most of the brands that we work with did, it's just one of those things where during that time, you're trying to make sure you can address as much as possible at a decent of enough quality so that you can make it by and not drop the bar. Um, and I think post holiday rush, it puts you in a position to really focus on the customer more again, right? These customers that may have previously purchased with you for the first time are coming back, they're stepping in. Maybe they have questions on their products. We have more time to be really thoughtful in our communications. We have more time to maybe call USPS for them instead of telling them to call USPS themselves. I think like those behavioral changes are definitely one thing that we tend to see from our customer support agents. And I think even past that, just making sure that you have a team in place that is ready to help implement this strategy. I think one of the things we tend to notice is, everybody wants this outcome and this goal, but they don't necessarily have a plan in terms of how they're going to achieve it. One of the things that I know we tend to do with a lot of the brands that we work with is kind of partner up with them to identify like what is this strategy going to look like and making sure we can actually carry it out. I mean, obviously, I myself, and right now I'm not an e-commerce owner, but when I was an e-commerce owner back in the day, you're just so busy with everything. Really making sure that somebody can help create that vision for that plan, and then actually carrying it out and executing it, and then making sure the team continues to follow through with it is a really important element of it as well. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, we talk with so many e-commerce business owners, and we know time is honestly one of the biggest things that they're
Yeah.
holding on to. With just smaller team sizes, more orders coming in during the busy season. This is always something that they're looking to get back on. So, definitely agree with you there, Andrew. In terms of, I guess, opening it back up to the panel, we're going to jump into some really fun words that we've heard over the past couple years. The beautiful word of AI. I know we hear about this quite a bit, but excited to talk about this with our panel. Very curious to hear kind of in the chat as well. For a lot of the people that use AI. I would love to see some thumbs up, thumbs down if their team is actively using kind of AI for their CX team. Would love to see in the chat if anybody's having that or utilizing that right now. Obviously, we'll be opening this up. We hear a lot about AI in CX, but let's get concrete. Can each of you share a real example of how AI is being implemented in your solution today or actively developed, and how that use of AI is actually improving customer retention and not just efficiency?
I can take that question.
Go
Oh,
ahead.
Tamana, go for it.
Yeah, so I'll give you guys a concrete example. One of our customers, Dixon, which some of you may know, they have a really lean marketing team, and they were spending over 5+ hours a week manually analyzing ad performance across 600 different creative variations. So they've used one of our products called Mobi Agents, and that now takes under 10 minutes. To put this into perspective, this is saving them 260+ hours a year. And if you break that down, that is almost 1 hour per working day. So their marketing strategist, Austin, he always says that Mobi agents helped them pinpoint top and underperforming ads out of 600 variations. And this was a huge efficiency unlock. But here's what really matters for this is, I would say, like the reason that this really matters for retention is that you can actually identify which creatives are attracting the right customers faster. You're not just saving time, you're also improving the quality of who you're acquiring in the first place. And I think just like better acquisition leads to better retention. So AI isn't just about efficiency, it's honestly about optimizing growth. And I think what some people could be afraid of is that AI is taking jobs, but I think AI just has leveled up the playing field. So with AI, it actually gives you time to fix the things that matter most that that just make your company more efficient and help you target the right people at the right time and fix those friction points as fast as they happen.
Definitely agree. Obviously, we have an AI tool, so I have many answers to this. I will not bore you guys with my essay, but this is kind of the comparison point that I feel like really resonates the most. So, very short story time. My dad loves fishing. And way before the years of e-com, over a decade ago, I went to like a Dick's Sporting Goods and I was looking to get him a gift. And I don't know anything about fishing. So I kind of looked around, looking confused. People probably thought I was in the wrong store. No one's helping me till this one older man walked up to me and he goes, "Do you need assistance?" And I've never been more thankful to see anybody in my life. Like I remember the relief that just that man just asking me that. I was like, actually, yes. And I almost cried to him in a Dick's Sporting Goods. I was like, I don't know where to start. Is this a bad one? Is this a good one? I was very lost. Thankfully, I have not had to go physically into a Dick's Sporting Goods in a long time, and I'm okay with that. But that feeling, that sensation of kind of needing some guidance, especially if I'm shopping at something not for me, is really needed. The point of this story is I did go back actually to Dick's Sporting Goods to get him more fishing stuff back in the day because I specifically looked for that rep, like that, customer service person on the floor, because he made that experience that was kind of not pleasant at the beginning, great, and I ended up going back. That experience may have changed what it looks like in 2026, but that really has shifted. It hasn't gone away. So the reason that I'm bringing this up is I was a Dick's Sporting Goods repeat customer in person in like 2010, and I'm doing that with websites and AI now just a little bit differently. So what essentially would make you a repeat customer in e-com space is almost going to be if that guy from Dick's Sporting Goods could be on my computer and he could see what I was Googling. What is a good brand of fishing rod? What is the average price? He could see how many times I clicked on one particular rod and left because I did not add it to cart, I did not buy. That to me is something that we're doing specifically with our AI, specifically our shopping assistant tool. It's having these in-person conversations that we rarely have at stores anymore on an online basis. It's using shopper history to know, did Natalie click on this and never come back? Is she looking at like bestsellers? What is she doing? And it is prompting very personalized kind of conversation initiators and triggers for me specifically. So I'm like, oh, okay, maybe there is some guidance here. I don't have to go crazy on like Wirecutter and Reddit to figure out what I should be buying. And we're using our AI to kind of guide that. And if that experience is really smooth and does not stress me out, I know I can go back to that website and keep having that and become a repeat buyer. So that's all to say, AI is doing amazing things for efficiency, but I do think, and we're just going to see this more and more, it's going to be a key component of what keeps people coming back if we're using it in a really smart way.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. And like over on our side of things too, just to share really quickly, we're trying to use AI anywhere and everywhere we can. Like we are testing and breaking and sending people on side quests to try to figure out how can we really optimize anything and everything within our organization by leveraging AI. Even from perspectives in terms of like how we are working on hiring our customer support agents for the clients that we help support them with. We are creating AI models to help us run assessments, create scorings, run grades, actually test them in a live conversation with somebody that might be on the other side of a live chat. We actually built out a tool in Replit. It's really cool. It's live. It's how we do our actual recruitment process. So we do like all these really cool things. From an actual customer service perspective, you know, with certain tools like Gorgeous, me and Nat were real good homies. I'm gonna give her a little spike right here. But with Gorgeous, they have some really cool AI softwares and tools, and our team we actually like work with them on pretty regular basis and setting that up for some of the clients and brands that we work with. So we have an AI implementation specialist team for Gorgeous that has been really good, really successful. And, Tamana, she had mentioned that word optimize, right? And I think, just continuing to not only set these things up, but have people in place to optimize that. Those are things that our team continues to focus on and to really put forth, really to ensure that for our clients that are wanting to leverage AI a little bit more, we're really building out a strong and sustainable system. So I think it's just AI can be used in so many different ways. It just comes down to how much creativity do you have? And then past that, like, how much time do you have? How many people on your side do you have to actually help you accomplish this goal?
Yeah, I mean, I think we all love AI because it helps us optimize more quickly. It surfaces insights. It's automating manual tasks for us and it's making us more efficient. That's awesome, but it's also really valuable for making sure that the opportunity to engage meaningfully with customers and shoppers isn't falling through the cracks. It's great for surfacing insights at relevant times and really streamlining the customer experience. So if you have a really large product suite or you have hundreds of thousands of reviews, it can be really overwhelming for shoppers to kind of figure out the reviews are really saying, what's relevant to them and what isn't. So what we're doing is we have our AI generated review summaries and keywords, and it's really just going to surface these key insights into really digestible sentiment text that allows them to quickly find relevant information and removes that friction from making a decision and kind of helps combat the analysis paralysis that comes with e-commerce and shopping online these days. They're not having to dig or endlessly scroll through key points just to figure out what they really want to buy. For example, Refi, who was an early adopter of our AI summaries, saw an immediate impact. It was like just under 7% uplift of add to cart, and then a 9.3 uplift in conversion rates from using AI summaries and being able to surface those insights so quickly.
Hmm.
Absolutely. Yeah, very interesting. I love the analysis paralysis. Like that is such a real thing nowadays. I feel like there's so many options for everything, right? It's so easy to scroll through something and just see all the different options and all the different videos. And now they're selling to you on social media too, right? So there's so many different ways, but being key with kind of your shopping experience, I think is something that people are going to go back to a lot more. I think that's something that people are going to lean on, like Natalie was saying, these AI options to be able to have that person that's with you while you're sitting at home shopping online that can come up and be like, hey, here are some great options for you when you're shopping for something you don't have. So, or don't have experience in. So I definitely would agree there. Natalie, kind of to put you back on the hot seat here, I guess one thing that Gorgeous does really well, I know we worked with you guys for so long in the full customer context, is just order history, past conversations across channels, Shopify data, so on and so forth. How does having the context and I guess the ability to act on this change the customer experience in those make or break moments in Q1? And what do you guys do to kind of lead better retention?
Yeah, great question. I think we have seen the value in this from so long. So just a little reminder, I've been at Gorgeous 4.5 years now. We've been building features around this since the very beginning. That I think this is like very much at the core of who Gorgeous is. So just a high level step back for a second. Gorgeous was born as a help desk. So just think like one place in general to house all of your customer interactions. Instagram, phone, email, chat, etc. And the whole goal of that is if you can see a very high level, comprehensive view of what your customer is interacting with you guys about, their shopping history, what they've returned. You can even track based on any VIP status or tiers, etc. You have a very comprehensive picture and you can use that to your benefit to have or to provide rather your CX and your agents the best experience as possible. So we see a lot of value in this. I think that's really the crux of how we were born. We have things like our customer timeline, so it shows their whole order history. You can see every way that they've written in if they're big Instagram people versus not SMS people, etc. I think in terms of an impact that it has, aside from the convenience for the agents, who I just have a lot of respect, they have a lot going on. So anything that I can do to make their life, I'm all for it. But in terms of impact for actual customers, it eliminates repeating questions. I'm a very patient person, but nothing drives me more crazy than when I'm on a phone call and nobody tells them what happened and I had to retell why I'm angry in the first place. I'm very nice, but I always end up apologizing in those calls because it drives me nuts. None of that. Basically, every agent is going to be armed with exactly what they need to know. And again, problem solving for the customer faster, building trust faster. At this point, it's kind of a speed kind of key differentiator. Um, Also, agents can then reference past purchases or unresolved tickets. We want to make sure that these customers, we've said it a million times, but I just cannot emphasize it enough. There are many options, many options when it comes to buying anything nowadays, even the most niche item. So you want to make sure that you're having these customer conversations that are very relevant and it shows that you guys are paying attention. You knew if they wrote in a week ago saying they were fine with it and now they're not, and you can pick up from there. And then lastly, better decisions on compensation or offers. So I'm not out here telling everybody to give a discount every 5 minutes. I know how hard and costly that can be. But again, if you have this data in one place, maybe you'll be like, hey, for this actual customer, they've shopped with us a lot. This is a weird one-off. It makes sense to kind of give them a really nice discount or an extra thoughtful gift, maybe instead of like a $15 Uber Eats gift card, it's 50. Any context that you have to make these experiences as seamless as possible is going to be felt, and just having them in one place just makes everybody's lives easier.
Absolutely. Yes. No, I love that we're bringing the discounts into play. I hope all e-commerce brands, the ones that I shop at, break out all of the discounts. I think that would be fantastic. Obviously, I know a good discount sometimes gets people just to move the needle enough to make that big purchase. So, no, love all of that, Natalie, as always. Kaylee, kind of pivoting over to you, I guess. Social proof is such a big thing in today's world. I don't know about you guys, but if I see somebody or a company that I know buying something, it makes me immediately want to have it as well. But I guess in terms of social proof, how are the leading brands using reviews, post-purchase surveys to identify, I guess, unhappy or at-risk customers early? And how do we make that so it doesn't turn into a churn and more of a loyalty win?
Yeah, I mean, you're spot on. I know social proof is great. When my friends are telling me things are great, I'm way more likely to buy it. But there's so much more to social proof than just kind of that word of mouth. It's really real-time insight into customer sentiment. So they're great tools for brands to spot dissatisfaction early, or maybe friction points in the customer journey. Like maybe a product didn't meet their expectations, or they had a really confusing shipping and delivery experience. These are tools that are going to help you spot those points early. And with Okendo, I mean, you're going to get those insights early. You can get it connects to help center platforms like Gorgeous, so that you can kind of, if someone leaves a 1, 2, or 3 star review, you can proactively reach out, send a personalized message, or offer a coupon or something to kind of keep them engaged. I think the key is acting on this feedback quickly, um, personally, and completely is the best way to turn these tools into more than just social proof.
Absolutely. Yes, timeliness, I think, has been a very big word that we've been throwing around here today throughout our session. Just because now things move so quickly in the e-commerce space, and as we know, sales, new purchases, obviously all those things, loyalty programs play a big factor into that. I know we only have a couple minutes here, but I have to end with a great question for all of our panelists to give somebody that came maybe today to the webinar something to think about over the next little bit here. A year from now, what will the strongest CX teams be doing differently that most brands still won't have started? What's one step attendees can do to get ahead of the crowd this season?
I can start on this one. Run a weekly real-time retention debug. Like use your first-party data to pinpoint the 1 or 2 biggest friction points that are happening right now, and the ones that are just like blocking the second purchase. So whether that's your shipping delays, returns friction, any unclear policies, fix those now and then get CX, growth, and ops aligned to just fix one of them each week. And, in a world where acquisition is expensive and attribution is super noisy, the fastest way to grow isn't necessarily spending more, it's removing friction faster than your competitors. So start this week, pull your holiday cohort, find the friction, fix it, and repeat that. And the second biggest tip I would give you today is you guys have shown up on this webinar. Many of us offer free products, free audits. We offer demos to help you optimize. Reach out to us because all of us are here. We're in your corner. We wouldn't exist if, we weren't able to solve some kind of problem. And I think all of us will probably put our contact info in the chat, but like reach out to us because I think that's something that can also make a really big difference.
Mm.
Yeah, I think I can kind
No,
of,
really.
oh,
Oh, sorry, Kaylee, you can go. Don't worry.
I think we can kind of continue on this theme of timeliness. I think the strongest CX teams are going to be anticipating customer needs. That's going to be the fastest way to respond. They're going to be acting on feedback and really creating those connected, personalized experiences that we've been talking about this whole call. So they're not just reacting to problems when they arise, but they're proactively preventing them and responding to them. I think a lot of brands are still going to be playing catch up. And a step that you could take this quarter is to run A/B tests on post-purchase surveys. So take advantage of that peak point in the customer experience when people are really paying attention. And by testing a couple of different incentives, questions, or channels, find out what's really working so that you can optimize your customer experience. And this will allow you to iterate and kind of continue to stay agile and meet customer expectations.
On my end, I think this is the perfect time to shop around, pun intended. Who are the ones that we're talking about? Look at the examples in the chat. Oh, this gift card is amazing, or I really like that this website does this. See what they're using. I don't think it's a bad thing to ask questions. I think now is the time to know that you don't have to just enjoy those, but you can replicate them and essentially replicate the same feelings that you have. It's a good time to make sure that your tech stack really reflects what you guys are ultimately trying to do. Is it the most efficient for your team? Is it setting you guys up for success? And that does domino effect. Your team doing a better job is going to have your customers feel like they're having kind of better service, obviously. And those essentially, to tie it back up, will bring repeat customers. So it's the perfect time to do this. Take advantage of the people you met today and the chat, our panelists, and we're happy to help you kind of finesse any of that out.
Yeah. I think on a last note from my side of things, when I think of a year from today, think of flying cars. Everything's going to be different and crazy. But realistically, like a year from today, a lot can change. I think we've all seen how much AI has changed the landscape and infrastructure of customer service. In just the last year alone, there's a lot of cool products and tools out there. And I think it's going to be really crazy to see where we land a year from today. But I think one thing that brands can start doing today and even a year from today and even afterwards that most brands probably will not have started doing is by kind of not letting off the gas. Like even though there will be these great AI tools to help with customer support, and those types of functions, I don't think that means that you necessarily need to have a smaller customer support team. I think it means that you need to have humans available and they need to be leveraged in other positions where they can help to really differentiate your brand. As AI, I think, becomes more custom within customer service, everyone's going to become extremely used to extremely fast response times. Cool. Now, every brand has really fast response times. What is the thing that is going to help differentiate you from the other brands? I think it's by having actual humans that are still there to support in the trenches with identifying all the friction points that can exist in a customer's experience. If you guys want a really good book to read and kind of get you inspired on this topic, I'd recommend reading Unreasonable Hospitality. I can't remember the actual guy's name who wrote it. It's Will something, but super good book. Talks about this topic a lot. But that's one thing I would start doing now, and even a year from now, and a year after that, is really just start to focus on like what are you going to be doing differently to differentiate from these other competitors once everyone has a 2 second response time in live chat.
I love it. Well, there you go, everybody. Read something. I love that Andrew is telling us to get reading this year as well. Just another thing to add to the New Year's resolution here. But thank you to all of our panelists. I know we are a bit over time. To everybody that stayed and hung out with us this morning, afternoon, or evening, we really appreciate you guys. Keep an eye out. We will be sending a follow-up email here shortly, which will include the replay, a CXplained community invite, partner giveaway links, and obviously AI audit to benchmark your CX against some of the top brands here as well. I want to thank our panelists yet again for taking time out of their busy days to come and spend with us. Thank you guys so much. Wishing you a healthy repeat purchase rates and retention engine for the rest of the year. You guys have a great day. Take care, everybody.
Thanks,
Have a great
everyone.
day, guys. Thank you for
Bye.
having us.